There you go. Over to you, Costas. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Okay. First thing is, excuse me if my eyes are darting around because I've got two screens here, so I'll be looking at one or the other. So if I appear not to be looking at you, it's probably because I'm not. But anyway, okay. So let's kick off. So some of you may have spoken to me before. I'm Costas. I'm the customer onboarding manager here at CEC. So my role is to help schools upgrade to Compass Plus, and then once they've upgraded, to get the most out of Compass Plus. I was for the past just under 2 years the customer service manager at CEC. So I may have spoken to you guys before in a different role, but that's me. So today we're gonna have a session on effective use of Compass Plus. So we'll run through some of the things you may already know, some things you may not know, and as Hyla said, feel free to sort of put some questions in the chat. We'll save some time at the end for Q&A as well. So we cover the general principles of Compass Plus. We'll also give a quick overview of Future Skills questionnaire. It's quite a big project in itself, but we'll cover it off briefly in this session. There's other dedicated webinars for Future Skills questionnaire if anyone wants to attend those. Okay, so for now, I'm going to turn my camera off so I can see my demo in full screen. Do that. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so Hyla, can you just confirm you can see the PowerPoint presentation there?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, brilliant. Okay, great. I'm going to work on the assumption that everyone on this call has already upgraded, but if there's anybody that hasn't, let us know. We can send some support you in that upgrade, see some guides on how to upgrade, or have a conversation with you and your IT team if you need to. But I won't go through the upgrade process in this session, but we can do that separately if anyone needs some support on that. Okay, so as I said, we're going to cover off effective ways to use Compass Plus. And what we recommend is 3 main principles of using Compass Plus effectively. So we'd say plan your careers program with clear objectives. So know what you're going to do for that year and then work towards those. So we know that each school may have different objectives. So the Compass Plus isn't designed to say you're doing really badly at this benchmark, must do better. We know that, for each school, they might be focusing on a particular benchmark during a particular year or a particular term. So Compass Plus will just help you identify those. Okay, so just try and plan your careers program with some clear objectives of what you want to get out of that year. Secondly, reflect pupil level aspiration and any individual provision requirements. So the big difference between Compass Plus and Compass Classic is Compass Classic didn't have any pupil level data in there. Compass Plus has. So it's a data-driven tool with pupil level data, which is a big step up from the original version of Compass. So as you're using Compass Plus, this is where we say try and reflect individual pupil level aspirations and needs. Okay, we'll show you again how to drill down into the individual pupils, how to potentially identify some gaps, and we'll touch on something that's coming soon. Well, soon it's sort of the next academic year within Compass Plus as well. And that one should read 3, not 4. Someone's spotted my deliberate mistake there. So be shaped in collaboration with providers and employers. So as you're developing your plan, try and shape it where possible with providers and employers. So we'll run through the provider directory, activity providers. So try and use that to support yourselves in achieving what you need to achieve there. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do, if this works, it doesn't always work, I'm going to try and play just a brief 2-minute video, but I'm not sure if the sound will work. It doesn't always work. Can someone give me a thumbs up or shout out if the sound is working on here?
No, the sound doesn't seem to be working.
No. Okay, let me... I'm just going to quickly... just going to quickly see if there's any options to share the sound. If not, we'll have to skip that, unfortunately. I thought this may happen, and I was suitably unprepared, unfortunately. Okay, looks like we're going to have to skip that then, unfortunately. Sorry about that. That's we'll send you a link to that, but it's just useful to hear from other careers leaders of how Compass Plus has benefited them, what value they're getting out of it. But unfortunately, it's the sound's not working. So unless you're great lip readers, I don't think we can do that one. Okay, so let's run into the products then and start running through some of the data and so on in the products. Let me change my screen. Okay, bear with me. Where has it gone? Okay, so now you can see my Compass Plus demo screen. So this is our demo site. So you notice it refers to Mark, which isn't me. Any pupil data that you see in here is all demo data. So don't worry about the pupil data that you see in here. It's all made up data. Okay. So just clarify. Can someone clarify for me? You can see my Compass Plus dashboard at the moment.
Yeah, you can see the dashboard. It says "Welcome back, Mark" at the top. Yeah.
All right, brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with is just looking at your dashboard, which you're all going to be familiar with, but just some things you can do with dashboard that you may or may not know. Okay, so this is dashboard reflects the last completed evaluation I did. Okay, I can look at previous evaluations if I want to, and what I can do is overlay my previous evaluations with my current evaluation to see whether things have gone up or down, etc., etc. Okay, but I'm going to just stick to my current evaluation here. And what it shows me at a glance is how I'm doing against each benchmark based on my last completed evaluation. Okay. Then we can do, you can compare yourself to other schools either nationally or within the hub or within the LEP. Okay. So you just select whichever hub or LEP you want to compare yourselves to, and that will change the visualizations and change the figures in here, and you can see how they're doing. Okay. Now, any data you see in here is all, this is demo data anyway, but in the live system, it's all aggregated data. So you won't see which schools in Coventry are achieving what. And likewise, anyone that uses this dashboard won't be able to see your data. Your data will be just aggregated within the national benchmarks or the, within the hub or the LEP. But it's just useful to see, and it's useful to see in the sense that not necessarily to say you're doing great compared to everyone else, or you're not doing so great compared to anyone else. But if you do see that there's a benchmark, for example, let me just say, if there was one here, say benchmark 5, where if I was doing particularly, if I was struggling with that one, and maybe within my hub or within my LEP, there was lots of people that were doing much better than me, or the average was higher than mine. What I suggest in that scenario is get in touch with EC, see if they can put you in touch with a local school, a friendly school that will maybe share some knowledge with yourselves, or share some activity providers or some of the things that they've done. So that's kind of the idea, to sort of share knowledge as opposed to say, you're not doing as well as everyone else. Okay, so that's the main reason for that. And then down here, just got a snapshot of your activities that you got for the year. So in my demo site, I've got 15 planned activities, and these are the benchmarks I'm going to cover. And I've got 24 completed activities, and these are the benchmarks I'm going to cover there. And then down here, I can again just see a snapshot of intended destinations that I've recorded. So I can select by each year and see, at a glance, what percentage of destinations I've got. And then if I hover over any of these, you'll see it expands and gives me just some more detail on those. Okay, so that's the first screen, just as a overview. Lots of graphics on there, just easy to see how you're doing with various sections on there. Now, what you can generate a report. So if you click on this, it will put this into a PDF format for you. So you may want to use that to share with SLT, for example, or if you want to put together a presentation or something, you can export that and share that if you want to. Okay. The other thing to draw your attention to is this support icon here. So what you notice is, I won't click on it now, but what you notice is that this will follow you around like a shadow wherever you go, or like a bad smell, some people say. But it'll follow you around on every screen, and we'll touch on that a bit later about why that's important to look at that and use that. Okay. So we said that these are our benchmark scores from our last completed evaluation. Now, what I can do with this visualization here, if I look at my planned activities, so I can see this will overlay my planned activities to my last completed evaluation. And what this will say is, based on my planned activities, once I complete these activities and do another evaluation, this is going to be the impact it will have on my benchmarks. So I can see that 2 are going to go right up to 100%, and these ones are going to go up a little bit as well. And benchmark 4 isn't going to change. Okay, so again, that's really useful to see, you know, how you're doing, what's going to be the impacts of the activities that you've got planned or the activities that you've completed and haven't yet redone your evaluation with. So it's really useful to see, you know, where you're going, how the year's looking or how the term's looking. And that's where we say initially about, you know, plan with objectives. Look at what your objectives are. If your objectives are improve on benchmarks 2 and 3, then great. If it was improve benchmark 4, then actually I've done nothing to improve that. But it's just an easy way to highlight to yourselves, you know, what's going to look good, what isn't going to look so good, and what you maybe need to address on that. Okay, and again, if I just click on any of these, it would just hover over any of these. It just gives me the, you know, your last evaluation score in there. Okay, so we spoke about the, you know, using this visualization to look at your planned and complete activities and how that's going to affect it. If we just go into our evaluations here, so if I say, for example, benchmark 5, I want to get up to 100%, but it's only going to go up to 75. So what I can do, if I look at my evaluations, okay, I'll just take my last completed evaluation. Okay, if I look at benchmark 5, it just shows me what I answered last time, where previous score was 50%, now it's gone up to 58%. So not a massive improvement, but it's gone up slightly. But what I can do from here is I can click on my resource directory, and this will take me to a page full of lots of resources, which will be some videos, some downloads, just some guides. There might be some training modules on there that can potentially help you achieve that benchmark or get nearer to achieving that benchmark. And there's also this Find Activity Provider, which may not work in demo. I think the link may not work. It does work. Okay, brilliant. So provider directory, we'll come to this a bit later as well, but again, my point is you can link straight to this from the individual benchmark that you're potentially looking at. Okay, so we'll come back to this a bit later. Okay, so that's your visualizations and your evaluations. So if we then go on to our pupil tab. So I said earlier that the big difference between Compass Plus and Compass Classic is the pupil data. So you no longer need to enter your year numbers for each year. And what you can also see now is individual pupils in here. So if I click under my current pupils, I can see all my pupils in here. I can change what this dashboard looks like by adding or removing certain things in here if I want to. And I can export that. I can save that as a filter, and I can download that if I want to as well. Now within here as well, I could potentially sort by names, year groups, form groups, or I can filter by groups as well. So if I just want to look at year 11, I can do that. If I want to download that, it will ask me whether I want to download all of it or just my filtered table. Okay, so it's again some easy way of just sort of narrowing down what you want to look at and the details on there. So if we take one of these pupils at the moment, let's take Mandy. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, this is all demo data in here. Okay, now this personal information and the basic pupil data that we get, it comes from your MIS. So this is all the information that we pull from SIMS, Arbor, Bromcom, etc. So that's already in here. Now what you'll also see down here is the groups that this pupil is a member of, and you can see what groups they're a member of for each academic year if you want to. Now all of these groups are these ones in these colours in the purple, green, orange and blue, they're all pulled from your MIS. So they're going to be your form groups, your characteristics, your year groups, etc., etc. Now these ones in black here are your custom groups that are created within Compass Plus, which come on to shortly. What it also show you is whether pupils part of a group previously but no longer. So it could be a custom group. So if, for example, if if Mandy decides she's no longer interested in coding, we'll take her out of that group, and that'll appear down here that she was in this group previously, but is no longer in that group. Okay, so that's your groups, and we'll come on to how to create custom groups in a moment. So if I look at Mandy's profile in a bit more detail, so I can see that for Mandy, we've got 2 completed activities. Sorry, completed activities for 2 benchmarks 2 and 3. Lots and lots of stuff planned, but actually nothing delivered. Okay, so it's looking good, but until we get this delivered, it's not so great. So it could be that Mandy may be great at committing to things, but is actually really poor at attending stuff. This is why it's important to keep this up to date and not just look at the plan and go, great, we're on track for hitting 100% for Mandy. Keep an eye on your completed stuff as well. Okay. Then from here, we can create an activity for this particular pupil if we wanted to. So I could do a one-to-one guidance interview with Mandy, for instance, from here. I could create an activity for Mandy and then add other people to it or other groups to it if I want to. So lots of things you can do. What you'll notice with Compass Plus is there's various different pages where you can do similar things, and that's intentional so that you're not having to go in and out of different things. So if you're in Mandy's profile, you want to create an activity for her, you don't then need to go back into your plan, create activity and do it that way. You can do it straight from the pupil profile. Okay, back to that. Okay, and then down here we've got a detail of those activities that Mandy has either taken part in or is planning to take part in down there. Okay, so again you can see some more detail there right down to the individual pupil data there. And again from here you can download this report if you want to. This will download it into a PDF for you, and again you can use this if you want to share it with either back to the pupil, share it with maybe the parents at parents' evening, or with the form tutor, etc., etc. So you've got all the activities here. You've got interest destinations that we've got recorded for Mandy, and then down here, if she's taken part in it, we can see her future skills questionnaire responses as well. Okay, so that's available for you to either download or print if you want to. Okay, right. So we spoke about in the last one, we could see the interest destinations. So let's come on to that. So in interest destinations, fairly straightforward. You just populate this as and when you see fit. What we say is, lots of people say, well, I've got 1,000 pupils, I can't do this for each pupil. You may be recording this elsewhere, which is absolutely fine. The other thing I would say is there's probably not another system that you can see at a glance activities, interest, future skills, responses, etc., in one place. But we appreciate that this is a manual process, so if you can't do it, that's fine. It's there if you want to. And what we'd say is if you're new to it or you haven't done this yet, make a start. It doesn't all have to be done immediately. You can do it a little bit at a time. Build it up over time. We know that these interest destinations, proposed destinations, are likely to change as that people go through their school life. But yeah, by always add to it as and when you can, and populate when you can. Okay. And then we've got a questionnaire which we won't come to yet because we'll come on to that later. Okay, then we covered off our personal information already. Okay, so we then talk about our third principle, which is the sort of shaping your careers provision with employers and careers partners. Okay, so if we saw one way of doing that via the evaluations. The other way is via the activities. If we go back to our activities. So if I create activity here, so I'm going to call this one test, for example, get the benchmark, and then down here, I can add my pupils or groups. So I can say, I can narrow it down if I know it's going to be for a whole year. I can select my year group and select the year groups in there or multiple year groups. And down here, it'll tell you how many pupils are in that particular group in there. And if I just select a smaller group, if I say teaching group, for example, so if I take 10A, that'll put that group into there. Now, just one thing to know, if you want to see who's in that group, click on this little pencil icon here. And then what you can do is you can see who's in there. You can add individuals if you want to. It's going to come up. Oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button there. Bear with me. Sorry, my activity's gone. Apologies, bear with me. as I was saying, you can add your groups in here. If you expand the groups, you can add and remove pupils. So if I know, for example, that I've got this in my planned activities, and I know that Harry didn't attend because he was off sick that day, for example, I could delete Harry. Or if I know someone else did attend, I can just add them in here if I want to. You can manually type names as well if you want to, and they'll pop up in here as well. And you can add those individually as well. Okay, now down here is where we're talking about your activities, your activity providers, and your careers partners. So this is a database of all the partners and activity providers I've got in my Compass Plus. Okay, so it's a demo site, so we've got lots and lots in here. So I can select any one of these or multiple ones if there is more than one in there. Okay, and I can add my notes in here. And I'll say my activity. Now with these activity providers, if we go into the activity provider page and just show you your providers. Okay, so this is all of mine, and what it shows me is how many active contacts I've got in here. I can edit these if I want to, change what area they're in, change their address if I want to, etc., etc. Now, again, if you're adding these from scratch, it could be quite time-consuming. But again, you can add as much or as little information as you want. So the address may be irrelevant to you because all you're going to do is deliver online sessions for you, or you're never actually going to attend their site. So, for example, you can ignore that. And just add in the information that you want in there. Now, it doesn't work in the demo site, but in live, you can also run a report on your activity providers. So you can see how many activities they're taking part in. So you can see who is the, your most engaged providers and who isn't very engaged. You can sort by benchmark. So you can see, okay, which benchmarks am I lacking providers in, etc., etc. And if you go into the individual contacts within there, you can deactivate them. So it could be that someone has left that institution or is still there but actually doesn't want to be part of this project. Or the other thing you can do, you can also add their, we'll find it in here. So they'll be in here where the relationship is to yourselves. So it could be that some of these people may be an ex-pupil, or it could be a relative of one of your students. So again, it's just useful to be able to store that if you want to. So put in a favour from a a parent or something like that. So again, that's information there if you want to store it, but you don't have to. You can put in the minimum information if you want in here, or you can put as much as you like in here. So that's your activity providers. Now, when we said about the provider directory we saw earlier, so it's telling me 0. Hopefully this will pick up when I put it onto the live. If I click to live, it's not here. Okay. Right, here we go. We're in live one now. Okay, so these are all partners that have approached us and want to be part of this project. So this is all people that have been approved by us. So it's not just a random list of providers. It's not just providers that have asked to sign up and we've signed them up. They've all been through a process to get them on this site here. And then what you can do from here, you can either search by postcode if you want to, or activity name or organisation name if you know who you're looking for, or you can search for whether it's for a school or a college, what the activity type is, what benchmark it covers, what key stage it is, etc., etc., etc. You can also say, is it free or paid? Are they able to deliver face-to-face or virtual events, etc., etc. So lots of things you can do to narrow it down there. So you may already have lots of providers that you're working with, which is great. You may want to find someone new. You may just want to bring in someone new to do something different, or there might be a benchmark that you're lacking some partners or providers in that you can use this tool to find in there. Okay, so let's go back to here. So one thing I've got to say, if we go back to our plans, so this is where you can see all your activities. A couple of things to note on here. So some of you may be using other digital tools like Unifrog or Moresby or UExplore, etc. If you are using those, then what you can do within your plans, I'll go back to my plans, sorry. If you're using those, you might say, I don't want to duplicate those activities because I haven't got the time, which is fair enough. What you can do within Compass Plus, we've does some work with these providers where they would have a download to Compass Plus option, and we'd have an upload option in here. So what you do, you select the particular provider, they allow you to download those activities into a CSV file, just save them somewhere in your network, and then go into this tool here, select the file from your drive and upload it into Compass Plus. So that will upload all your activities from your other tool straight into Compass Plus. So no need to manually duplicate it, but a quick way to get it in there if you want to, if you're using any of those tools. Now, if you're not using any of those tools, you can still use our template that we've got here, and you can add your activities to that. Now, that's useful in the sense that if I just show a dummy template, I can stop sharing that one and share another one. Okay. So this is what the template looks like. So I've populated this just with a little bit of data so you can see. Now, what is this useful for is lots of career leaders say there's careers provision going on throughout school all the time. It's not all delivered by yourselves. It could be delivered by form tutors, by subject specialists, etc. So there could be things going on all the time that you're not aware of, and then these teachers will say, well, I haven't got time to go into Compass Plus and populate that information. You know, I'm here to teach. I'm going to do my teaching. I'll cover off careers within my teaching, but I'm not going to go into Compass Plus to do it. So what you can do with this template, what we suggest is you can save this template somewhere within the school shared folders, or if you use things like SharePoint or OneDrive, you can save it on there, and then all the teacher or whoever's delivering that event can do, just populate one liner, just say what benchmark it covers. If they don't know, they can probably put in what activity is, and you can probably work out the benchmark yourselves. Activity name, start and end date, and the UPNs and the students involved, and then just a little bit of information here. So you can have that as a rolling document for those people to populate, and then you as the Compass Plus users can upload that into Compass Plus whenever you want, either once a term, every half term, once a year, whatever you think is appropriate for yourselves. Okay, so that's just a way of quickly getting other people to support you with uploading your activities into Compass Plus. Now, the other thing is with this, because I'd say this is a rolling document, so it's going to, people can continually add to it. If I imported this today, and then next week I had another 10 activities on here, and went to import it again, what Compass Plus would do would say, actually, these 6 here, you've already imported, so it will recognise those duplicates, okay, and it will give you the option of either skipping those duplicates, or if actually you want to add them again because they are slightly different, or for whatever reason you want to add them again, you can do. But Compass Plus will recognise the duplicates, so you don't need to worry about filtering out ones that you've already put in there. Okay, so that's our overview of the Compass Plus side of things for now. If we just go into the next part of the presentation, which is going to be the future skills questionnaire, if I can go back to my presentation, bear with me. Okay. So we know that video is not working, so I'm going to skip that. Skip that one. Right, I've gone too far, bear with me. Okay, so future skills questionnaire. So this is available since last September. So some of you may have already done this, you may not. But the future skills questionnaire was designed really for both students and career leaders. So for students, it was an opportunity for them to sort of have a voice with regards to their careers provision and how they felt about it. And for the career leaders, it was an easy way for them to get some feedback from the pupils and also allow them to support their programs based on that feedback. And for us, it allows us to do some research around this and see, how are pupils feeling, what's the response we're getting from these sort of questionnaires. And again, just to clarify, anything that we have access to, we anonymise and aggregate your data. So we would never go back to DfE, for example, and say, these are this school's results, or this is what this student said, or this school student said. All the data that we share with DfE is always anonymised and aggregated. Okay, so no need to worry about that as well. Okay, so for this future skills questionnaire, this is just a comment from one of the Year 7 students that has completed the questionnaire. So just reading this out, this has made me put a lot of thought into my future, but I never really thought about it before. But now I'm considering what jobs I might do, what careers I might have, and so on. No one is too young to think about their career, which is, quite a powerful thing to come from a Year 7 student, but it just shows that they do see the value in doing this. And we'll come on to how they do that in a minute, but just to clarify, it probably takes the pupil probably no longer than 15 minutes to complete the questionnaire. And we suggest really it's only you do it sort of once each academic year. So it's not something that we recommend you ask the pupils to do time and time again, probably once every academic year, and you can track that as time goes on over their, the school life for yourselves. So obviously it's only been available since September last year. So, we can only start tracking from now, but it's, if you're going to get started, now's a great time to start on that. Okay. And there's another video here, but I won't share it because the sound won't work. So I'll skip that. Okay. So with regards to future questionnaire, so there's 4 versions plus a SEND version. So you've got the versions are starting secondary, transitioning from Key Stage 3, GCSE years, and 16 to 18 education. Okay, and then there's different sections within those questionnaires. Okay, and as I said, there's also a SEND version as well. So the SEND version is not hugely different. It's just slightly different wording in it. And it's just kind of designed to sort of get those people thinking about their careers provision and sort of generate some conversation around that. Okay, so with that, let's go back into Compass Plus, and I'll quickly show you the future skills questionnaire. Right, here we go. Okay, so some of you may have done this, you may not have done. So if I go to my pupil tab, go into questionnaires. So the first thing you need to do is select your, sorry, actually, before we go into that, what you can do, you can preview the questionnaires here. So you can see what the pupil will see. And this is all, nothing will happen if you click these answers. It will just, it's just a preview. But what it gives you an idea is to see what the questions are, and also how the pupil sees it. So you can see it's really, really easy for a pupil to complete. All you need to do is sort of look at these. They've got some nice emojis there for them. Just need to select one, click next, and so on. Okay, so it should take no longer than 15 minutes for them to complete that. This will work on any sort of smartphone, tablet, laptop, PC, etc. So really accessible for all pupils in there. Okay. But if you want to view those, you can do beforehand. There's also on our website PDF versions of the questionnaires. If you wanted to print them out or look at them separately, you can do as well. Okay, so if we go back to here, so the way you get these questionnaires are individuals to each pupil. So you need to generate your questionnaire links. So when you create your questionnaire links, it will ask you to select a year group. With that year group, you can either select the whole group or the form group. So if I take 7A, for example, and then from here I can search for individuals who I want to, and I can generate the links from here. Now, what I can also do from here is I could say these are all my pupils in this group. Now, I actually haven't got any. I was going to say you may want to sort of exclude the same students, for example, in the main questionnaire, because you might want to send them a separate questionnaire. So to do that, to include or exclude any particular pupils, just check or uncheck the box in here, and then generate your links. Okay. Now, when you generate links, you'll need to get those individual links to your pupils. What we suggest is the best way to do that is via an email mail merge, and they'll get the individual link to the individual pupils, so that we know and you know that the responses that come back will be that pupil's responses, as opposed to a random response that you don't know where to join it up to. Now, that will probably it's a little bit of effort, probably take about 10 minutes to get those links over to the pupils when you do the Outlook or email mail merge. What we're looking at is, hopefully for next academic year, is being able to pull in the individual email addresses into Compass Plus, so you can send them straight out of Compass Plus to the pupils if you want to. Now, the putting of the email address is going to be optional. So you've got some people saying, this is a real pain, why can't you just get the email address and send them out? Other people saying, I don't want to give you my pupils' email addresses because of, for obvious reasons. So the option will be there, hopefully at the start of next academic year, if not at some point in the next academic year. But you can opt in or opt out of that. So you're still able to do it this way, but there will be an easier way to do that come next academic year. Okay, so assuming I've sent all these out, I can see the status of each of these from each of these pupils. So I can see not submitted, didn't get sent. I can view the responses in here. Okay, what I can also do is look at my reports in here. Okay, so I'm going to look at this section of the questionnaire, essential skills, for example. This just gives me an overview of those responses. So I can see that there was 30 pupils responded, which is 61% of the generated links. So I can say, okay, that's not too bad. I've had almost 2/3 respond, or that could be a reminder for me to, okay, let me send some reminders out to the pupils that haven't responded, etc. And down here, what it says is, this is on average the percentage of pupils that responded positively. Now, when we say positively, that's either the second two of the options in the questionnaire. So whether say mostly or most definitely. Okay, so that's what regarded as positive on there. And then down here you can scroll over these and see what the individual questions were again. But what you can also see is what percentage answered positively or negatively. So again, if you just hover over those, it will just show you the questionnaire, the questions on there. Okay, you've got your different questionnaires here. I can narrow it down if I want to by different year groups, etc., etc. Okay, now that's my summary report. If I now go into my detailed report, so if I look at, let me see if there's something that's got a bit more data in it than that one. How's Proposed 16 looking? Okay, let's stick with this one. Sorry, stick this one. Okay, so this is my detailed report. So again, I can search by my questionnaire section, and from here I can click on it and tell me 24 were mostly negative, 36 were mixed, and 1 was positive. Okay, now from here, if I click on any of these, I can see which pupils fall within each of these brackets. So thank you, Bethany, very positive. You can see who was mixed, who was negative. Okay, so that again, this is where we say about where Compass Plus allows you to drill down to individual pupil level data. We can really drill down and see, okay, who's feeling to getting good provision, feeling positive about their careers provisions they're getting, and who isn't, and then you can then start to address those within here. Now, what you can also do is we can look at highlight by particular questions, low scoring questions, for example. So in my example here, I've got these questions are my lowest scoring ones. I can look at groups. So I can look at, do my pupil premium pupils answer differently to my non-pupil premium. I can search by gender, so there's a difference between male and female responses, etc., etc. So lots of things you can do if you want to. And again, this is where we say, this allows you to look at these and go, actually, for whatever reason, our girls are feeling more positive than our boys about their careers provision. Why is that, or vice versa? And you can adjust your plans accordingly. Okay, so it could be, for example, the girls are feeling more negative than the boys. It could be because you may have lots of girls in your school that want to do non-traditional roles. So they want to go into construction, or they want to go into some of the careers that are more typically historically geared towards males rather than females. So again, it's just a way of you highlighting how things are looking for yourselves. Okay, and then as I say, over time, once it's only been available since last September, come next year, you're able to run this report again. You're able to do comparisons against your your previous years, and over time, hopefully, what you'll be able to do is track an individual pupil from when they're starting school to the point that they're ready to leave, and hopefully see some positive changes over the course of those years. Okay, so that is very quick overview. Now, I've spoken about identifying individual needs and addressing those. So if we go back to our pupil data. So apologies for jumping around here. We go back to our pupils. Sorry if I go into my plans. And where we said about our groups and our custom groups here. Sorry, here you go, manage groups. Okay, so in the manage groups, you'll see all your main groups that you get from your AMS, your teaching groups, year groups, form groups, or characteristics, for example. And you'll see your custom groups in here. Okay, so I've got a few set up here: coding groups, STEM, student council, etc., etc. This is where we say that if you want to, if you identify certain pupils are not necessarily lacking in stuff, but you may have certain pupils that want to do particular roles. So you may have girls interested in construction, for example. So you can create a group for that. I wish I'd chosen something shorter than that. Yes. And then from there, you can pick either whole groups if you want to, or you can pick individuals that you know. Okay, so because your custom groups may be made up of people across different year groups, different form groups. So let's see if I can find. So maybe this is going to be Jennifer, Lisa, Caroline, etc., etc. So then you can build up your groups over that. You can add and remove pupils as well you want. You can pull in whole teaching groups or form groups or year groups if you want to, or you can pull in individuals if you want to as well. Okay, so really easy to do. Save that group when you're ready to save it. Once you've done that, you can then view that group. You can edit it. So Toby's no longer interested in engineering and manufacturing. Either is Tara. Actually, we've got someone else is also interested now. So Lisa's now interested. So I can easily add and remove pupils into that group. Then down here, this will show you their membership start and end dates for that group. So the start date will be the date you created the group. The end date will be the date it will default to the end of the academic year, or the date that they were removed from that group. So this is where I said earlier, under the pupil profile, you can see groups that pupils were in previously, but are no longer in. Okay, and this is what I would say about this is a good way of sort of drilling down to individual pupils and adjusting your plan accordingly. Now, what we hope to introduce next academic year might not be till January next year, or maybe a bit later, but we're trying to introduce something called Who's Missing Out, where you can very easily identify, as the name suggests, who's missing out. So at the moment, you kind of need to have a bit of an idea. Compass Plus will show you individual data, but you'll need to look at that individual to see they're missing out, for example. You need to look at their profile to see that they're not at provision in GB5 or whatever it is. Hopefully with this new development we're doing, that should be coming early next year, you may sort of run a report on who hasn't had anything for GB5 or employee encounters, etc., etc. Okay, so last thing I'm going to cover off before we go over to our questions and so on. Let's go into our training resources. So we've covered some of this briefly already. So on here we've got our online training. So these are a couple of short self-service modules, good for people that are potentially quite new to Compass Plus. They're sort of 30-minute modules with videos, just run you through the product, ask you to do a couple of things on Compass Plus, just to give you an idea of how to get started, really. Then here we've got our webinars. So if you click on that, that's constantly changing. So click on that, you'll find recordings of previous webinars. You'll see details of upcoming webinars, such as we did one last week on using Compass Plus with Zello. We've got one coming up, I think it's in the next couple of weeks, around Compass Plus Future Skills Questionnaire, etc., etc. But if you're unable to, so it's worth looking at that, but if you're unable to attend any of the webinars that you'd like to attend, they're all recorded, and also on this link, you'll find some pre-recorded webinars as well. And down here was a resource directory that we saw earlier. And then on here, we've got some free training here for new careers leaders, and we've also got some funded training for careers leaders as well. So some of this is sort of Compass Plus specific, but there's lots of other stuff that isn't Compass Plus specific, but more to do with the careers leaders role and the careers provision within the school. Okay, so this one here, we'll fund up to £1,000 bursary for courses, so it's worth looking at that. And that £1,000 will be put towards the cost of the course cost of transport, cost of accommodation, etc., etc. So it's worth keeping an eye on these and making the most of these here. Okay, the last tab we're going to go through is our support site. So again, if you click on any of these, you'll be able to send an email to our help desk, suggest a feature if you want to, and again get you to our sort of getting started pages. Now, I said earlier that this support widget sort of follows you around everywhere, and it does, if anyone noticed that. If I click on here, so the quickest way to get support is probably through this icon here. So if I want to say I want some help with custom groups, and then what I do is bring up all the relevant articles here, how to create a custom group, and most of our guides here are video guides. Obviously, it's quite small here, but you can expand that and view it. But it's pretty good, as compared to lots of sort of support guides I've seen. It's a pretty good. It's returns very close matches, so it's worth using that first if you do have any queries on here. Now, alternatively, if you don't find the answer you want, or you just want to contact somebody, click leave a message. You'll pre-populate with your name and your email address. Put a note in there about what support you need, and click send. And that'll send an email to our customer service team, and they'll respond. You can add attachments here if you want to. So, for example, you may be seeing an error message that you want to share with the team and say, what does this error mean, or I keep getting this error, or I'm stuck on this page. You can add attachments as well if you want to on that. Okay. So I'm conscious I've spoken at you quite quickly for the past sort of 45 minutes or so. So I will come back to Hyla for any questions, if there are any.
Lovely, thank you.
If anybody's still there.
We're all still here, don't you worry, Costas. We're all still here. Thank you, and thank you for that run through. Even I didn't realise the amount you can drill down and everything into this as well, actually. I've got one quick question for you, which is hopefully a very, very basic question. But when you're doing your Compass evaluations, which obviously when you move over to Compass Plus, you do through this system, you said that it can draw in data such as like the student numbers in a year group and things, so you don't need to know that. But if you say are brand new to this and are only just putting things in and you haven't put any activities in, I'm assuming you can still update like as if you would do a normal assessment rather than having to rely on having to put activities and things in there. Is that right?
Sorry, talking away, I was on mute there. So sorry, Hyla. So first thing to say is any evaluations that you've done within Compass, so the original version of Compass, will all be carried over to Compass Plus. So you won't lose any of that historical stuff. So that'll all be in there. And then what you can do is, yes, you can create new evaluations from here. So if I won't go through the whole evaluation, but if I just go into here. Okay, so now what you'll notice in the original version of Compass, all this will be 0, and you need to populate each of the numbers for each year group. So within Compass Plus, it will pull in these numbers from your MIS for each year group, and then after this, you go into the the evaluation as you would normally. Now, what we've also made a change recently where you can amend these year groups if you want to. So what we've seen is, from time to time, the connection between the school's MIS and Compass Plus may fail. It could be because the school has changed systems. It could be that the SIM server or Bromcom server has moved somewhere else, in which case Compass Plus can no longer access data. So what we've done now is you can actually overwrite these if you wanted to. So if there is an issue with your link between your MIS and Compass Plus, you'll probably see lots of zeros in here. But what you can, if that is the case, you can overwrite those, and you can still go ahead and do your evaluation if you need to. Okay, now just to clarify, with regards to the activities, so the activities don't link directly to your evaluations. You'll still need to complete your self-evaluation. What the dashboard I mentioned earlier will do, that will show you what the impact of your activities will be on your evaluation when you next complete an evaluation. Okay, so it won't automatically feed in those activities into your completed evaluation. It will just show you this is the expected impact of those activities on your evaluation. Okay, so we haven't quite got to the point of Compass Plus pulling in activities and creating evaluations from it. One that is very, very well, extremely difficult to do. Secondly, this is a self-evaluation, because what we find is, rightly or wrongly, we might have some people saying all my activities are in Unifrog. So yeah, I'm hitting 100% on everything, but I've got no activities in Compass Plus. So for us, we'd ideally recommend that you put them in Compass Plus so they are actually linked in some way. But it is a self-evaluation, so it won't, or those who show it an overlay, it won't pull into your completed evaluations or complete an evaluation for you.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you, Costas. It also means, I suppose, if you're just putting your toes into Compass Plus and just getting go with it, it's not an all or nothing situation. You can sort of gradually build up, so you can still do your evaluations, but then you can also start planning your activities, or you could start looking at your pupils and things. So that's actually really handy to know. Thank you. Any other questions? Sorry, there's one in the chat here.
I've got a question as well. Sarah here.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Sarah. I'll just read out the one that's in the chat, and then I'll come to you. Okay. So Aisling is saying that in the new authenticator system, it doesn't send a code to their registered email address, so often can't access. Is that an issue with the setup of it, do you think, Costas?
So the multi-factor authentication was introduced probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it could be an issue with the setup, or it could be an issue with the account. So whoever's raised that if we can pick it up separately, be worth looking into that particular account separately to see, because we should be able to check at our end whether the code is actually being sent and when it's been sent.
Hi, Costas. Sorry, that was me.
Yeah.
So it didn't let me in for 2 days, but then yesterday it did, but it didn't ask me to authenticate yesterday. It just let me straight into the system. But on the times when it makes me do the authenticator, I keep clicking resend code, but the code doesn't come through to my email.
Okay, well, let's look at that separately. I'll look at that with our developers and I'll get back to you on that one. So
No
when
problem.
it wasn't working for you, were you using a different network or a different laptop or anything like that?
No, I'm always on my school laptop.
Okay, that's interesting, because it's designed for obvious things. For if someone tries to log in within a network that Compass Plus hasn't seen before, it'll flag up that, okay, I don't recognise this network. Is it safe? Has someone got hold of your laptop or your login details, etc.? Okay, but we'll look at that separately.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks. Sarah, over to you.
Hello, our school is just changing from Sims to Broncom. Is there anything I need to consider before the switch happens during the Easter holidays? Am I going to lose anything, or is it going to just populate across nice and easy without me having to touch anything?
Okay, good question. Okay, so there's a couple of things to be aware of. So when you change MIS, the pupil ID will change. Okay, so the UPN will stay the same, but each MIS assigns a different pupil ID to the pupil.
Okay.
So the issue we have with that is where you potentially put activities against pupils, those activities will no longer show against that pupil because the pupil ID will have changed.
Oh my God! Right. Okay.
Okay. So this is why we recommend, if anyone's changing their MIS, to do it over the summer term, where you finish one academic year and all your people, all your activities and so on are done for that year, before you move into the next year.
I don't have the choice, do I? So.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate if you're sort of tied with whoever your provider is, and if they're doing the upgrade for you, then that's what you do. But a couple of other things we can do. One is, if you go into if I quickly show you into your plans.
Okay.
So download your plan.
Okay. Yeah.
So now that downloads a CSV file. Now that will show you what year groups or what form groups were involved in that activity. So that give you something. But the other thing is, when's it happening over Easter, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, let me pick up with our developers to see what we can potentially do is cache the data before that change happens.
Because I've literally put on loads of activities today.
Yep. Okay. So let's check that. We may be able to save that. The other thing is we're looking at a new platform for Compass Plus users. So Compass Plus won't change, but the way we integrate with Compass Plus is potentially going to change with regards to the partner we use for connections.
Okay.
And we think with the new, it's still going to be Group Call, but a different part of Group Call. And we think with Group Call that we're moving over to, we think, but don't know yet, but we think this issue may go away. So it could be that we use yourself as a bit of a guinea pig for this, if you don't mind, to see. I mean, to be fair, if you're going to lose the data, you're going to lose the data. So if we can try, not lose it.
Yeah, I need to keep it all because there's a lot of activities on there.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot. We put all our one-to-one interviews with the careers advisor. It's all logged on Compass Plus now.
Yeah. Okay.
We do have backups of some of it on Unifrog, but other than that, we need to get this sorted because I think also we might have an Ofsted coming in after Easter, so I've got to show them what I'm doing, and it's really, really important.
Okay.
Can I speak to someone maybe tomorrow when I'm back in work on next week and see how we go from here, because we've got another 2 weeks before we break up?
Yeah, let me go back to our developers and see what they can suggest first, and I'll be in touch with you. We can arrange
Mark,
a conversation.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Sarah. Any other questions? Well, I've just seen there's one in the chat here. Can Compass Plus pick up individual student interactions logged on Unifrog? So I know you said that you could download the activities from Unifrog and such like, but does that link back into the individual students? Yes.
So what you can do in here, I said within Unifrog, you'll have a big sort of Compass Plus download option. If you click on that, that'll download your Unifrog activities into a Compass Plus friendly format. Once you've got that, you'll save it. It will just be an Excel template. Then select your file. I'll pick a file that I've got. Find it. Okay, so if I pick this one. Okay, bear with me. I'll just quickly show you guys how that would work. Okay, so where I showed you that spreadsheet earlier, it's the same spreadsheet whether it's Unifrog or Zello, etc. It's just the format's the same. Okay, so because I'm doing it from a standard spreadsheet, it's saying that it doesn't recognise what partner it's come from. So if I just select Unifrog, for example, click upload, it will say 5 out of 6 of them successfully imported. This is where I say it will highlight some duplicates. So it will show me this one is a duplicate, which is why it's flagged it. So I do want to add it or I don't want to skip it. So I'm going to skip that one. So that's what you do with Unifrog download. You click the upload, and then that will then appear in your completed activities in your plan against the pupils within Unifrog. Now, the one thing you need to make a note of is I'm not that familiar with Unifrog, but my understanding is it doesn't automatically pull in the pupil UPNs. And you may need to get Unifrog to add those. Without those UPNs, Compass Plus won't know which people to assign it to. So just make sure Unifrog have got your UPNs in there. But again, if you want, if you want some support with that, we're happy to sort of look at your Unifrog report and help you get uploaded.
I think I might also remembering, Costas, that there's in the sort of training and support resources, there's a video or a little help guide on that, if I remember rightly, isn't there, on Unifrog?
Yeah, and a great plug, Hyla. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Almost as if it was planned, eh?
I know, as if.
So there you go. So just search for Unifrog. You can see a video on how to upload from Unifrog. Say detailed video, screenshots, etc. there. And then you can also see the previous webinars, etc. As I said, but as I say, if you're struggling, feel free to send the report over to myself. I can have a look at it if you are struggling with it, and we can help you get those uploaded.
Great, thank you. Conscious of time, so any last questions from anyone? Either pop them in the chat or put your hand up. Sarah, your hand's still up. Is that a legacy hand, as I'm now
Yes,
told
it
I need
is.
to call it?
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I just didn't want to miss you. That was all. Any other questions or comments for Costas? If not, I'll let us get on with the day. What's left of it? No, nothing coming through. Well, Costas, thank you so much for going through that with us. Hopefully, it shows people quite a few more bits that you can do in Compass Plus compared to the Compass Classic, which was just that self-assessment. So it really shows you the extras. The bits that I particularly like is the potential of using it as like a customer relationship management system with all your providers and businesses and that sort of thing, as well as really digging down to that pupil data, which can really help you sort of, I suppose, plug the gaps with the pupil knowledge and that sort of side of things. Just so you all know, and we will say is the final webinar in this series is in a couple of weeks' time on the 29th, which goes into more detail about that future skills survey. So I know South Church High School have started using that, so I'll actually see if they can come along and give you a bit of an idea of how that worked for the school as well. So thank you all for coming. If you do have questions, if you go away and then think, oh goodness, I wish I'd asked this, do just email the Careers Hub or your enterprise coordinator, and then we'll pass that on to Costas and the team. But thank you again for your time, and Costas, thank you very much. It's been great your input. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks everyone. Speak soon.